What's up, everybody? It's SJG, HBCU Gameday and the crew, and we are coming to you straight off the road. Some of us by near, a lot of us by far, but either way, we were on the road on Saturday per usual, and I got the whole crew with me. Well, not the entire crew, but enough of the crew, and we're going to go ahead and get started and talk about this week. HBCU Gameday, we've always prided ourselves on being there at the game. When things started off, there weren't always as many HBCU games that were available to everyone as there are now in terms of TV and streaming platforms and things like that. So, first it was just, us being there was revolutionary. Now everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a phone that, shoots 4K. Everybody, can sit at their crib and talk about HBCU sports, and that's fine and that's amazing. But the thing that we pride ourselves on is really hitting the road and talking to folks, getting the experience. And I feel like that's one thing that we're going to do this year is to bring you guys inside that world a little bit. So to get started, I'll introduce the panel. I'll introduce everybody. You see their names there. We got my guy to the bottom left, Wally Pitt. I'm telling you, when it comes to HBCU sports, Yes, Emmett, this is live. This is not looking live. This is premiere. This is real live. We take a part of our Sundays. Josh in the middle yelling at his TV because the Panthers are doing what they do. I'm sure Wiley is shaking his fist as well. I don't know, guys. What's the score of the game?
Man, it was 20-3 when I came in, and we looking rough. Bryce did a Cam first down celebration, and I was like, come on, dog. Too soon.
Sounds about right.
Wins first.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, again, we got Wally Pitt. Again, a lot of the stuff that you guys see in HBCU sports now, whether it's from the conferences or whether it is from individuals, he's inspired that. I'm going to say it. There's been a lot of copying going on, but the one and only is here, and he's going to talk to us about a big win that he witnessed. And then we got these two guys hit the road as well. Our guy Jacoby at the top left, he is our HBCU North representative. He MEAC, CIAA. He gets around there, and he was on the ground and in his car as the game with DeSean Jackson got his first win. So big up to him. And then at the bottom we got our guy, the youngest in charge, Josh Williams. He was in Norfolk, Virginia, in the 757, going up after we'll talk about we already talked about the first week. Well, you guys can watch that later, but talking about that. So first off, we're gonna start with Wally. Wally is in addition to being an awesome cinematographer, he's a very involved father. So he's these days he sticks close to home. But it's worked out for him because he's been covering Johnson C. Smith for the last couple of years. As I've been saying, as the WSSU Ram fam, giving them awesome propaganda. But, last on Saturday, man, they definitely lived up to the hype. And they got a big win over Valdosta State, a.k.a. the fake VSU, a.k.a. Valdosta Hate. So, that 2012 loss for Winston-Salem State, I'm gonna feel a way about that until
I knew exactly where that's coming from too. That's very, very clever there as usual.
Yeah, but they've been. Valdosta State, and we'll let you take it over, Wally. They've been kicking HBCU behind for a long time, and a couple years ago, Virginia Union got them, and some SICs have gotten in the past. But just talk about what went on there.
Man, I gotta say, man, definitely one of these circle games. One thing I like about Coach Flowers is like he's always gonna try to take these shots and like make these intentional levels up. And Valdosta State, like when he booked the game, like he hit me. It was like, yo, like we're playing Valdosta at home. Like this is one of those ones. And what's crazy is he told me that Valdosta was actually the one reaching out to people. They reached out to Clark and they reached out to Smith, like, yo, we want to come play y'all. So, first you got to shout out to Valdosta, who's, going through a transition, could be at a time where they might want to like hold their chips a little tight and get some wins they weren't with that. But the atmosphere of the game was I was telling people while I was there, it was like a week 1 playoff game. Valdosta came in, like they weren't on no real like rah-rah stuff, but they were definitely like, yeah, we're Valdosta. Like they did their little walk right through where Smith was stretching, like intentional on some like, yeah, we are who we are. Like we can walk through your line, and they've won enough to like honestly to do that. And it riled up Coach Fly, I think, more than anybody else, which is why I put up the bend that clip. And when y'all see the episode, like right after Valdosta did that, you know what I mean? Which is, I don't know, it wasn't out of pocket at all, but it was definitely like a, plant your flag type of thing. He was like, nah, we've been that. Like they think that this is sweet. They think that we are, the old Johnson C. Smith, and like, nah, like we've been that. Similar to what they do with Wingate, right? Like the reason they play that spring game at Wingate is to get some bump with a team like this. So like coming in, like that was already happening, but Valdosta is like, they got chance for days. Valdosta was like a, how in like college softball, they always over there chanting and saying some stuff, like their whole sideline, the whole game had chance, was involved, was doing all of that. So it was really like a playoff game. And then, when you get to the actual football of it, man, I think when they scored that first long running touchdown, the vibe was kind of like, all right, like what are y'all gonna do? Like even in Smith's locker room, or on the Smith sideline, it was kind of like, all right, like who are we? And like nobody was really hyped. Like I'd say the biggest thing for Smith was like they were real chill on the bench. And even like guys like Kavaris Crouch, like Crouchy was actually kind of like, yo, like what are y'all doing? You know what I mean? Like get it up, get it going. And then, once Kamaro Edmonds got hurt, and it appeared to be serious, things just kind of turned. And like the one thing I love about Smith, and I always give them, like from a football aspect, like they don't do that giving up stuff no more. Steve, you know this probably better than anybody. Like when you're a bad team, like, and you're on the sidelines filming a game, like you can see when a team clicks and they're like, yeah, we're good. Like we ready to go home. Where's the chicken? You know what I mean? Like this is over. And Smith just never did that. And even after catching that first touchdown, like that first big one, it was kind of like, all right. Then it was 10-0 and it was like, and they kind of got it back together. And then Coach Flo was like, at halftime, he was like, yeah, you look at the game, like, I think he even said it in the halftime speech. He was like, we should be up 17-0. And even I was kind of like, I remember being like, yeah, I'm gonna probably have to cut that. You know what I mean? But now I'm not, because I'm like, okay, like he saw it that way. And then once the game, progressed through, like, yeah, close game, tough game, but like it was really like 4 plays from being a blowout. Like 0 catches that one KD kind of overthrew a little bit. The 2 big touchdowns that were, when you score a big touchdown like that, like that's a breakdown, right? Like somebody didn't do something right and they got scored on. You know what I mean? So you put those little things of this guy does this right on this one play, he does something right on another play. Like that was a big win. And it's a big win without Brevin Caldwell, who didn't play and who is questionable going forward. Kamaro, questionable going forward. What looked like a serious injury. Kavaris Crouch got that targeting call. He leaves, and Kavaris Crouch is like I said, he's like the battery. He's the one on the sideline, like, yo, come on. And honestly, when he went out and switched to kind of like the player coach, like that's really what they needed. Like they needed somebody who wasn't worried about playing, like, in their ear. Who wasn't worried about calling plays in there, like a peer. You know what I mean? And so it was dope. I mean, it was a good game. It was a tough game. Like Valdosta is still Valdosta. They're good. They're not sorry at all. I'm not saying they're national championship caliber, but like they were definitely a good team. But man, it's just good to see them get that win. Like, it's hard coming from where we are and living in Winston and being from Winston. Like watching Johnson C. Smith be good at football is crazy. Like I think I saw Chris had that tweet where he was like, JCSU goes up over Valdosta in the third quarter. I never thought in my decade that I would tweet that. You know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. And so, I mean, shout out to Coach Flo. You know what I mean? Those are my guys, and I love telling the story, and it just keeps getting better. So, I just shut up and hold the camera. You know what I mean?
Nah, man, that's great stuff. It's like I said, man, I remember when you first said you were doing Johnson C. Smith, and I was like, okay, cool, blah 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 blah. I was like, it's Johnson C. Smith, you're gonna do your thing on it, you're gonna make it look good, but it's gonna fold, I just that's just what that's just what I was
Steve, I tell you this all the time, like when it comes to football, like I feel like I have PhD in the vibes category. You know what I mean? And like when I went and shot with Smith in 2022 for Coach Flo's first win, like it just felt right. You know what I mean? Like they were just good dudes. You know what I mean? And so for me, I was like, win, lose, or draw, like what he's trying to do is dope. You know what I mean? And for me as a storyteller, like that's all I need. Like, you know, I think I was telling Tolly the other day, like, you know what I mean? You got to surf the waves that are on your beach. Like, I can't make the waves to surf. All I can do is sit in the ocean and hope a good one comes. You know what I mean? And like, when you start chasing it, that's to me when you start losing some authenticity. So, I didn't want to chase it. And I'm glad I'm here. And man, the team looked good. They got new stars stepping up. And I just hope, you know what I mean? I hope for their sake that, you know, this season goes well. But man, it's a crazy story. I mean, you know what I mean? Like Hollywood script. I couldn't have written it this well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. That's amazing stuff. Like I say, man, again, being around, you know, I have to give them stuff. So it's like, you know, I always have this thing where I'm like, you know, Johnson C. Smith won the first game against Livingstone, and then they've been under 500 as a program ever since. So, you know, but man, it's just been amazing to watch. And yeah, I mean,
and it's tough. And I will say this, I'm sorry for cutting you off. You know, one thing I did notice just about making football work at the HBCU level, y'all know, like I get to the games like super early. I'm there like 2.5, 3 hours early up shooting. One thing I noticed though, Valdosta had people setting up tents, coolers. They had a whole operational staff of people setting things up 3 hours early on that side, right? I go to the restroom and I'm hearing, you know what I mean, respectful to every situation. Like I hear the guy who's the operations dude, he's like walking past the bathroom on the phone, like, yo, can I get somebody down here to help me with these fans? They're really big and it's hot, right? So like, just take that. And like, first, let me just say, like, everybody involved on the HBCU level, if they could do what Valdosta did like that operationally, they would. So this isn't a situation of somebody not doing something that they can do. But it's just like, when you look at just like what we face as HBCU programs, just on that level, just like the fact that they had 9 people there 3 hours early, all paid, right? Like none of them were working like volunteers, right? You ever seen a volunteer work or somebody who get paid work? Like these people were at work, being paid, setting up pool zones, staffed, t-shirts, logos, you know what I mean? And like Smith is doing everything they can to like, you know what I mean? I don't even want to say put the because it's not even like it's like that. It's just like the difference in the resources and the actual tangible operationals of it is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? And once I saw that, I was like, shoot, we're gonna be hot. Like they got 5 tents, there's no tents. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, and I think Vaughn talks about that at the University of Miami, right? Where they got that heavy shade side and they like to put the opponent on the hot side so that they hotter and they play. But you know what I mean? It's little stuff like that. And so like just seeing that and seeing Smith still like be able to win and beat these teams with like their culture is as put together as that. You know what I mean? Like that's all culture. That's all like a whole bunch of people who really care about what they're doing, making it work. And like it's love. So I just wanted to say that from a, you know what I mean? Just from an optic standpoint, like that's crazy. And like anytime the HBCUs compete and like against teams who have those resources, it doesn't have anything to do with like they're better than them or they're so good or great or grand. It's like, nah, dog, you know what I mean? It's like you're playing out of a different size bag, and like that matters. And so shout out to Smith and shout out to Valdosta just for having that, because that's, you know what I mean, it's dope. But I just wanted to say that as an aside, you know what I mean?
Nah, man, that's good stuff. And as you say that, we'll bring our guy Vaughn in down from down in Florida. So shout out to Vaughn. Yeah, he was at Edward Waters and Miles College yesterday. So we'll talk to him about that in a second. But while we brought up a great point that I want to make sure that everybody in here, guys, tell me how, because I know I'm the late arrivee out of everybody. I already know that. So tell me what time your game started. We'll start with Kobe, then Josh, then Vaughn, then Wiley. What time your game started and what time you got there to start capturing?
My game started at 1:00. I got there probably around 10. I learned that from Wiley. just to make sure I get there and ain't too much going on.
Well,
Josh?
My game started at 6 and I got there around like 2. Part of that was like Kobe said, because of Wally, he taught me to get there early because you don't want to get there and you got to rush to do everything, or dealing with some schools, your credentials may not be ready, or you may have some issues with parking, especially at Norfolk State. You got to get there early. So I made sure that I got there super early. And even whenever you think you early, still get there a little bit more early. So I got there around like 2 o'clock and the game started at 6.
Yeah, Vaughn, what time? What about you? I know you had to pull up for a little bit. You had to pull up on Duval. I think that's the way it goes. Don't quote me. But you know, yeah. What time did your game start? What time did you pull up?
y'all hear me okay?
You're a little low.
Let me see what's going on here. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead to
All right.
Wally.
Well, look, they done already told me. Look, I learned it from Marlo and them.
Yeah, I was thinking that
I'm not even gonna hold you.
Be the last man at a job.
Steve knows my reverence for that show, and boy, I can't tell you, like watching that show in real time in 03 and getting to the house party 2-3 hours early, just as kind of party it was young. They don't know. They got cell phones. They can do that now. But yeah, no, I got there at about 8:45, 9 because I had to sneak in to parking. You know, Smith is. That parking is scarce, so I had to sneak in with the coaches. So not about 9, about 3 hours early.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can you hear me yet, Steve?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Awesome. Yeah.
In Jacksonville yesterday, the game was at 4 o'clock. I arrived at about 11 because I wanted to drone the stadium to make my video more dramatic. So I knew I needed to get there before people were there. So I was there way early. Went and grabbed some Jenkins barbecue from the famous barbecue stand right down the street, and then was able to come back. But yeah, we do have to go early to set up to make sure we're in position, you know, and figure out what's the nuances of that stadium. You know, every stadium is different, so you know, figure out what the staff is going to let you do. You know, some staffs don't care. You can actually shoot in the box with the coaches; they don't care. But some going to put you like 20 and out. You know, so you just got to figure it out once you get there.
It only took me one time walking down Bimbo with a bunch of gear, hearing touchdown, Jermaine Martin. I'll never forget the sinking feeling in my stomach. I'm walking, I got all my gear, I'm late, and I'm hearing the touchdown. I was like, oh my God, I have nightmares about missing games and being at the wrong game in the wrong place. So yeah, for me, I can't do it. It only took that one time.
Yeah, man. Nah, this is great, man. I'm glad we're doing this because you know, a lot of times, you know, people have seen the content that we produce, and you know, they watch it and they like it, they may comment on it, but you know, I think it's definitely important that we you know, stress the blood, sweat, the tears that goes into it. You know, like I said, the battle with parking. You know, not knowing if you're gonna get parking at Norfolk State, if you're gonna have to go to somebody's mall and park again. Yeah, my story from last week, I got the whole story. It's crazy.
And look, the question I want to know is, if I need my credential to park, but I have to park before I get my credential, how can I park? How can I use the parking pass that I get with my credential if I need the parking pass to park to walk in to go get my credential?
Yeah, man.
There it is right there.
But again, operational. And I will say that there's not somebody sitting back like the Joker laughing at us. Like, nah, they're doing the best they can. But
when I was able to go that early, I was able to walk I parked right outside the SID's office, went in and got my pass and parking and was able to be straight just because he was, you know, early setting up. But yeah, there are situations where they got the whole perimeter barricaded and you might have to walk quarter mile to get your parking pass and then go park.
Yeah, because Miss Fanny ain't losing her job because of you. she said, look, this me right here. Yeah. Now whatever you do over here, that's on you. But Miss Fanny is not losing that job for no.
The looks on some people's face when you like, I'm going to get my media pass. They like, you better media pass your way to the will call. Media pass, boy.
Hey, Steven, you're not going to talk about the car studio the car production studio.
Oh yeah, man.
Our
Yeah.
cars as production studios after a game because there's no space there.
Yeah, man. Our car fits. Kobe spent a lot of time in his car yesterday, but he wasn't able to get a lot done because he was waiting on this game to finish up. But we'll talk about that in a second. But Vaughn, you were over covering the Edward Waters football game against Miles College. A big win for Edward Waters. I'll let you talk about that. But this is, again, this is something that right now, Edward Waters is now the talk of the town. But way before that, Vaughn was, making sure that they got coverage going up to Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yeah.
To Jacksonville, and when they announced they were going Division II, Vaughn was there. So these are stories that we cultivated, just like Wally and Kobe will talk about his as well. So this takes time, it takes effort, it takes money. So we appreciate it. If you guys are throwing in the super chats, we definitely appreciate it. I know everybody look at us all the time like, hey, HBCU game day, you got money. Don't count our pockets, but between gas money, between something to eat, between tolls, between you ain't get your parking pass on the right time, so you got to come out of your pocket. It costs to do this stuff, but we do it for the love of it. But we definitely appreciate all of the support. If you're not going to do a super chat, you can definitely go ahead and just make sure you download that app for sure. Wally spent a lot of time making that really great. We got all of the scores. This is year 3 for it, I believe. And this year we have not only the final scores, but they do update as close to real time as they can. So,
and
I
can't say it's as close to real time. It is directly attached to the scoreboard at said arena. And there's a lot of stuff that happens, but for accuracy, like we aren't touching the scores. It has to go live from the actual box, the actual Genius box. So when it's a mistake or whatever, or it's not coming in time, it's not just coming in time from our system. It's internet, it's all of this stuff, but it's as close to real time and accurate as I know how to do,
Yeah, great stuff. So Vaughn, you were at Edward Waters, and there's a whole lot going on. I remember, just before we put you up here, I remember us talking back in the summer. I was just coming back from SWAC Media Day, and we get the news that Toriano Morgan has left Edward Waters, and I literally just saw the man the day before the SIAC Media Day on Tuesday, and this is Wednesday night. You're telling me he's gone. So you got on it, you started investigating, and I said to you, and I think we both agreed, it was like, wait a minute, Brian Jenkins is over at Edward Waters. Okay, this makes sense. So then you got the confirmation and everything like that. And we don't always report everything we know all the time. We'll say that, but I'll let Vaughn explain that. But and then we end up and then one day we see Eric Dooley is on the sidelines there, and everybody's like, well, Eric Dooley, what? And then they bring Noah Biden along, and all of a sudden certain games start getting a little bit interesting. And so Vaughn, I'll let you talk about it. We'll go ahead and put you up in the solo spot. Take it away. Give us the atmosphere and some of those things that maybe people wouldn't necessarily see in the box score or on the highlights.
Well, let me tell you, we've been covering Edward Waters since they made the move from NAIA up to Division II, which has only been since 2021. They were NAIA school. Now they move up to Division II, SIAC. I got to say that I got to contribute the success of Edward Waters to the president. He has invested in that program. He said from the beginning he was moving up because he wanted to win, and he wanted the team in position to win the SIAC. So lo and behold, things happen, and look at where they are. They have they're starting out 2-0 for the first time since 2004. They were Division NAIA at the time. So Toriano Morgan gets the opportunity to go home to his alma mater to coach with Reggie Barlow at Tennessee State University. But on his staff, he had Brian Jenkins. And let me tell you, watching them and covering them in my region, watching Jenkins on the sideline, he was a lot subdued under Morgan. I guess he was just trying to hold his position, trying not to be a threat to the head coach or whatever. But the old Brian Jenkins is back. We saw him down at the beach, one of his team building exercises. He's out there dancing with the team. The energy from Edward Waters is unreal. It has filtered down from the coach, and they're playing differently. Noah Biden yesterday, they defeated Miles 46-14. I'm old school. I got paper. They defeated Miles 46-14, the first time 2-0, obviously, in 21 years. Noah Biden, the transfer from Southern University, was 15 for 25 for 201 yards and 3 TDs and no interceptions, only playing a half. They were able to get a lot of reps with their backup players in the second half. So if you look at the score, you got to realize that after halftime, all of those points are from reserves. Let me tell you, number 5, running back Jontarius Thomas. He is a bowling ball. So one half of the great running back tandem we're going to see this upcoming week, along with Virginia Union's great running back. Jontarius, 76 yards on 10 carries. 76 yards on 10 carries, 7.6 yards a carry. Davari Morris, receiver, 97 yards on 4 receptions. That's like 25 yards a catch. I mean, there's some guys who are really stepping up. On the defensive side, which is the strength, even though they put up these good points, big points, the strength of Edward Waters is his defense. Look at this stat line from linebacker Trevon French. 1.5 sacks, 7 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass breakup. Dude was all over the field. And like I said, they didn't play the starters literally but a half. And then they have a good supporting cast. So what this does is set up September 13th in Jacksonville as one of the biggest games in Division II this year. Because Alvin Parker's coming in, and Alvin Parker's first game, and they had a bye week. Their first game was against Miles. Edward Waters' first game was against Miles, and they had similar results. And so what we're looking for this weekend at the Unity Classic in Jacksonville is great Division II football.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, Vaughn, thank you so much for painting that picture. And perfect segue. Again, the Unity Classic is going on this upcoming weekend, so get your tickets. These are, again, 2 programs that we cover consistently. And we got 2 guys that really cover them consistently right here. And Vaughn down at Edward Waters, and then also Kobe is he's a little bit of a Virginia. He's a little bit of a Virginia. It's run back you. It's Winston-Salem State of RBU D2. I got the stats for that. But right now they're smoking. Right now they're hot. And yeah, man, the 2 teams are going to match up. So both of you guys saw that view. Curtis Allen carved them up last week. And then they went down to Florida and got treated with the disrespect. Yeah, man, that should be a really exciting matchup. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's going to be tough, man. Virginia Union is loaded. They're aggressive, and they know how to win, man. And, it doesn't matter who they put back there. They got speed in the backfield. They got 3 big backs. They got 2 shifty backs. They got some receivers. And, I don't know. RJ Rosales is secretly becoming my favorite player. His energy, he uses his legs, and he's my height. So, I got a lot of love for RJ. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. All I can say is this. In my favorite snow voice, the North remembers.
Well, it's an interesting thing, an interesting dynamic, because Joe Taylor is the athletic director of Virginia Union, and he and I talked after Brian Jenkins got hired. And he said, I'm going to have to reiterate to Alvin, Jenkins ain't nothing to play with, because Jenkins and Taylor used to face off in the Florida Classic when Brian Jenkins was at Bethune and Taylor was at FAM. I think they were 1-1, if I can remember. They were 1-1. Before Coach Taylor retired. So, yeah, so it's going to be it's just going to be a good game with 2 good running backs Allen is a grown man. And Jenkins said that to me. I asked him about next week. He wouldn't say much, but he said that Allen is a grown man, and everybody knows, it takes a good lick to bring their brother down.
Yeah, I was at the game and the NFL Hall of Fame Classic or the Black College Hall of Fame Classic, and they were saying he runs like I just had a brain fart. What's the
they said Eric Dickerson on the broadcast is what the guys I said.
Oh, now on the field, they were talking about the kid from Houston, the Texan, or not Texan, yeah, Houston. What's the big back? I'm sorry,
like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they were calling him a Derrick Henry, a D2, and solid, and he was delivering. I think he threw somebody with a stiff arm too,
and he's hurdling people. Like, I mean, again, you get Jada Byers out of here, a guy who had basically 2,000 yards twice, and all of a sudden comes along his backup, and he's like a freight train, just knocking people over, looking like Jim Brown 2.0. So that's going to really make a really interesting matchup for this Unity Classic, the inaugural Unity Classic, if I'm correct. Which we're a part of. So look, man, buy your tickets and come and experience it if you can. But it should be a great.
Who's the celebrity they're gonna get to buy 3,000 tickets to come to the Unity Classic? Because let me tell you, at Harvard, it made a difference. They let the youngins in there, and the youngins were, you couldn't go 5 seconds without them being like, and number 14, let me get a hat, let me get a wristband, let me get a glove. It really turned it up. Whoever's down there in Jacksonville, Lil Duval, he's the only one that pops up in my head. But whoever is do it. It will make a difference. Because having that energy in the stands.
Well, let me tell you,
classics.
Let me tell you, the stands were packed yesterday. So for the opener, and knowing how big this game is, they probably don't have room to give away a lot of tickets. But I do understand they reached out to the community and they're giving away tickets to youth groups. But it was packed yesterday. And I guess I'll have to write the story about the Miles band and Edward Waters band getting into it. There was quite a controversy because Miles band played through while they were introducing Miss EWU on the field. And man, it got a little crazy in there last night.
Yeah, those band stories are, I'm sure we all have plenty of them, most stuff that never makes it now. Every once in a while, you got a trombone player piecing somebody like at Texas Southern. I'll never forget that. And then when Norfolk State and Morgan State, whatever happened there that year.
I was there. I was there.
Kobe, no.
Yeah, we'll look, the football, the sports people are one thing. I don't know if we want smoke with the band heads. They're a whole different breed.
I just hope the band people know that we don't know the rules. It's like going to LA and wearing the wrong hat. It's like we don't know. Like we need a flyer or something. We don't know these.
Check yourself. Check yourself, cameraman. Check yourself.
All I know is to don't walk through. It's the same thing with the cheerleaders.
I think we've all learned that the hard way. I'll say I definitely learned it the hard way. Definitely learned it the hard way. We also have now I will say, since we're all on here, since we're all out here, shooting, content creating and shooting, we'll go ahead and talk about this before we get into these last couple of games. The people that I have the biggest beef with, and I think all you guys are going to know this, the band content people for every team. Oh my God. You would just have the perfect shot lined up and they would just come in just.
Bro, y'all remember a couple years ago, I had to get in Slack in our group chat for therapy because I literally wanted to clock a dude because I went way away from everybody and he just parks right in front of me and just killed my whole vibe. And I was like, dude, the band media people are.
It's the intentional flex of it because it's very much I'm with the band. I'm shooting for the band. You're not.
Oh, are you
Like,
trying
I'm
to
gonna
shoot?
get in front
Let
of
me
you.
get in. Let me get
It's
in.
most of the time it don't even be about a shot because I mean you already got 3 drones, 2 gimbals, FX6. You got a master content creator like in the back, you know, with some goggles on, like getting fly in real time. You know what I mean? But you know, sometimes you gotta. On the flip side, sometimes you gotta let people know they can't shoot in front of you. So there's a part of me that respects it. But yeah, but you know, I don't know. I get my 2 little shots and move on. I don't fight with them because it's too much.
Nah, I'm cool with them.
No, it'd be the sideline referee in basketball that I really have a problem with, but that's a different show.
Whew, man. One time I was like, man, you know what? I should just I should get the ref's email and email them all of the shots that I have of their behind. And, you know, it's crazy the things that we go through to get this content. Well, again, appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know, we had 2 big wins in the night, so we'll get to those and get folks out of here. But I'll talk about the game that I was at. So it's been a crazy first couple of weeks for me. Started off going to Atlanta to MEAC SWAC Challenge. So that was like a 4.5-hour ride from Winston. And then last Thursday night, I went to the first Norfolk State Michael Vick game along with Josh. So it was like another 4.5-hour drive. And then I said, you know what? The Rams are playing. They're going down to Alabama. They're going to take on Tuskegee. I have seen a WSSU Tuskegee game. But it's the Red Tails Classic. I've never been. So you know what? So I literally left my hotel in Norfolk on Friday afternoon, got back, spent a little time at home, and then left out from Winston on the road at 6:30 in the morning, drove over to Montgomery, Alabama. We had a good Ram time. We took a loss. We took an L, and it was a very interesting week. But this week, the Rams went over to the mountains of North Carolina. We were at Mars Hill. I've heard of it before, never been there before. And I guess this is where we get to the part of the weather, because we haven't talked about the weather yet. But I think for Vaughn and Wally, did weather play a factor in your game at all? Or were you guys good?
Yeah, it drizzled.
Go ahead,
Wally. Yeah, it rained some, but not even enough for me to go put the cover on my camera. So it just drizzled a little bit. And I thought about going to put the cover on, but I saw that the clouds were going away. So no, rain was not a factor at all.
And lightning, that's obviously the other thing.
No, I hopped in the car to leave, pulled out, and like as I closed the door, I heard a crackle of thunder and was like, "Oh, it's coming!" And then and what's funny is Coach Flowers told me Valdosta specifically scheduled that game at noon so that they could get back in time. Kind of, you know what I mean? Just kind of like with the whole friendliness of the
because I was wondering about that, because this is prime nighttime game.
No, he said they wanted to get back. He was like, they wanted a road game, but they still wanted one where they weren't out, had to stay over and do all of that. So they bumped it to noon, and it would have, because it would have been a delay. Had it been in the later part of the day, it would have been right in the storm. Yeah, man,
that's crazy how that worked out. Yeah, that makes sense. I've noticed that because I was like, man, why aren't they having this game at night? It's the first game of the year. They got that great view of that sideline of the skyline, but it makes sense. So okay, a little cooperative there. So, well, I'm not gonna say it's the opposite of friendliness. So, but so WSSU was going to play Mars Hill. And literally, as I'm getting ready to leave, I live closer to Wake Forest than I live to WSSU. And they were playing Western Carolina, and it just was raining, casting dogs. But it was also lightning and thundering. And so, man, they had like they had a 3-hour first quarter, and so this is how it was when I left. And I was like, man, do I need to go up this mountain 2.5 hours? But I went up there, and I'm glad I did. You talk about the hospitability and the working together on and working together as it comes to putting together games. So actually, Mars Hill was supposed to play Livingstone, but Livingston's their school shut down, and WSSU needed a 10th game, and we're talking about April. So it kind of worked out, so it ended up they got a home and a home. So Winston went 2.5 hours down the road. They were hospitable, when we got there, but there was no accommodations for the band, and they told that if the band was going to come, they would not be allowed to play at halftime because they had a presentation. And the irony of it is the band didn't play, the Mars Hill band didn't play at halftime. So anyway, on the road, no band. You had a small group of fans that came. There were definitely less. It's crazy. There were less people in 2.5 hours down the road for Mars Hill than there were down 7 hours for Alabama. We had a really good crowd in Alabama. So, but they were there. They were vocal, and the cheerleaders. They really had to rely on the cheerleaders because the band and the cheerleaders usually work in a tandem, and so it was a back and forth game. But WSSU. They did what they normally do. They never make it easy. They never make it easy on them. They're trying to make all of this turn gray and fall out. But, yeah, man, they backed themselves into a hole. And this time they managed to get out of it. And it took and it gave me a really good appreciation for the band for sure. Because, there was, after the touchdown, you used to getting that little fanfare, just give you a little pump up. But there was none of that, so the cheerleaders actually had to do that vocally. So it was a really good experience. We didn't have a weather delay. The rain literally lit up right before the game started, and there was some rain in it a little bit. In general, how do you guys feel about shooting rain games at night? None of us like to get our equipment wet, but if it's a good old where's your sweet spot with the weather?
Cloudy days are the best. No rain, no precipitation, but if it's cloudy, oh man, they pop. The color pops. Like Edward Waters, I was just looking at it. I'm one of the guys that's shooting raw. So, but just looking at it, it looks crisp. I can't wait to colorize it and chop it up. So because like I said, it didn't rain much. It drizzled, but it was cloudy. So that to me, that's my best when it's cloudy.
I would agree, Vaughn. And I'm really sensitive about my stuff. So when it starts raining and it gets heavy, I get nervous. I'm like, yo.
Man, Kobe was like, man, it's a storm. I'm going. I was on the road to Mars Hill. I was trying to be like, Kobe. I was trying to, just talk him through the weather. Go ahead.
It makes it more funny because if you know Kobe, like he don't play about his equipment.
No, I know that. Yeah.
And I'm running around looking for the cleanest trash bag I can find to cut a hole in and get busy. I love shooting in the rain. I absolutely love it. Like, I don't know now. Back in the day, I did. Now I got insurance. Knowing that like if something happens to my camera, I can send it to somewhere and it's going to come back and it's not like a car where I'm like, what's the estimate? Now that I got that on my cameras, oh yeah, give me that rain. Buddy Pugh's last game. Oh man, I had a ball and everybody was like miserable, because it was cold. It was like 4 degrees above snowing, like raining, like annoying rain. It just worked out. But I agree with the clouds. I don't like to get wet, but yeah, if I got to do it, I'll definitely get it in. But yeah, no, you want some clouds. I hate like in Charlotte this weekend, it was just not a cloud in the sky and just the sun just beating. It's like somebody taking a lamp and just shining it on the camera. Yeah. That's what you don't want. But a little chunky clouds, not too sunny. Sun at your back is always good. Sun at your back, crowd at the front. You know what I mean? That's how you get me there. I love it. If Smith put another side of bleachers on that other side, we could really get busy. But Smith got a fourth wall, so
I hate the straight on sun, and not even just the straight on sun. When I was at Tennessee State last week, they play at the Tennessee Titans Stadium at Nissan Stadium, and they got the home side to where it's shade on the home side, but on the away side it's straight sun. So us content creators, we know you kind of have to shoot from one side, because if you shoot from the other side, you're gonna be shooting directly into the sun, so you can't see. So it's like I'll take a cloudy day any day of the week. But I like shooting in the rain a little bit. The rain be cool, you know, getting those nice rain shots, dudes smacking the helmet, the rain dripping off the helmet, stuff like that. That stuff be cool. It'd be a little bit of a boring game because sometimes teams start running the ball a lot, and I like to get the shots where they airing it out all the time. So sometimes the rain games can be boring, but those pregame warm up shots at night with the rain,
they can't be beat. They can't be beat. I'll go home. I'll go home after pregame. Like, we straight.
That'd be money right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Speaking of rain, you know, Kobe's had the most most weather affected game. Delaware took on University of Albany, and again, a situation where Kobe, this black man lives in Delaware. Yes, there are black people that live in Delaware that are not in Delaware State, and Kobe is one of them. So, you know, he does a great job, you know, covering that part of the country, even going down to Maryland and Virginia as well. And so, yeah, man. So he's been covering Del State back in the
2021.
Lee Hull.
No, Rod
Milstead.
Yeah, Coach Milstead, cool brother.
We need to
cool
come
brother.
up with that HBCU football Jeopardy right there.
Yeah. How many coaches has Delaware State had? So yeah, man. So he's been covering that, and so he's been, you know, covering DeSean Jackson since he got there, and went to the first game against UDEL. You know, had to deal with some SID BS. Maybe we'll talk about that on another episode of the Road Warriors. Names redacted. Yeah, but just talk to us about the atmosphere, man, and talk to us about that not one, not two, but a 3-hour rain delay before DeSean Jackson got his first win.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. Like, so I went down there early. I was down there about 10 o'clock because I knew they were going to make some adjustments. And so I wanted to get down there early. And I thought I was being cute and parked far away. Well, nah, it was a bad move. But actually, when you get there, they were really ramped up. They had a lot of people there for the cookouts, the tailgates, which is unusual. And so what I would like to say is that it wasn't like a homecoming atmosphere, but there were more people there. And Delaware State is unique. It has a smaller stand size on the home side. It's larger on the away side. But it was a beautiful day. Actually, you know, I got a little browner because before the rain delays, it was hot. When you got there, it was 85, 90 degrees. It was hot. The sun was beaming. And I wanted to mention that Delaware State is really, really a new school at this point for me. After watching it for 4 years, the organization was better. The amenities they had for the athletes were better. They were really ready to rock and roll this game. And they even had some new technology with the scoreboard and everything else. So, and I know people saying it's the Jack era, but I don't know what Tony Tucker is doing right now, but he's getting the school ramped up and they're really investing in Delaware State, and DeSean Jackson is definitely a beneficiary of that, but also they're a beneficiary of him. And what I mean by that is that the team was ready to play. The energy, the swag, like they definitely pick up the swag from their coach. I just couldn't. It was a surprise to me to have the Delaware State players talking stuff, ready to play. They were disciplined. I know they got a lot of penalties. In both games, they got a lot of penalties in prime position. But I'm telling you this is a different Delaware State all around the board. I mean, how people have bought in, how the AD is available and he's around, and the team is ready to rock and roll. I mean, you got Clinton Portis on the sideline. Those running backs, I mean, like, Lee Hall didn't really play a lot of players from Delaware, but you got Marquis Gillis from Milford, Delaware, which is probably 20 minutes from the school. And I mean, he looks like a grown man. And also they got like a thunder and lightning going on. And in the game, when you see they were hitting them out, one of the first plays of the game was a big play. They were down 7-0. They came back to play. And the one thing I wanted to bring up real quick was, their band is even a different energy. We know they got the new band director, But that band is ready to rock and roll, man. I'm telling you, some people need to be scared in the MEAC of what Delaware State is going to bring, man, because the energy is there. The energy is there. You laughing at me, Wally?
I'm laughing at Steve zooming himself out with the questionable face. That was what I was laughing at. He zoomed himself out to give the face.
Man.
I've been dealing with the Steve hate for a long time about these teams that I find affinity for. But the one thing
it was the band comment that did it for me.
Oh yeah, it surprised me. Like Wally, I like my North. I've never been a fan of Delaware State band, but I definitely seen it. I got a few clips I'm gonna post on IG. The musicality, as they like to call it, and I might be wrong. I got cussed out for a Hampton and Morgan article, but we'll talk about that later.
They were on you, man. They were on.
I know, but the intensity is different.
They're about to take our creds and everything, man.
No,
they're about to kick us out of the band of the year, off the band of the year.
And they told me stop writing articles if I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
I think I published that one. I remember that. Now that you mention it.
Like everything around the sports and stuff is very, very different. And like I talked to you, Wally. I told you, Steve, about people talking about DeSean Jackson, and that it was the way he approached coaching was very different than what people expected. And the team is disciplined. Coach Jackson is disciplined. I mean, he's going to be who he is, and he hasn't lost who he is, but he takes his job very seriously. And I've always told people once from the spring game that they were going to be a different team. But even in this, you could tell they came to fight. There was one time they were down. The guy, Albany, just scored a touchdown. And it was number 5. I don't know if it was the wide receiver DB. I'm not sure. But he was screaming at his team at the top of his lungs, not in a negative way, in a positive way, leading them going. That's something I had never seen on the Delaware State sideline. I had Delaware State players standing on tables, getting the fans involved. That's something I had never seen from a Delaware State football team before. So, the energy, the swag, and the willingness to not give up is something like they're going to have some problems. And they played like that. In my personal opinion, they outplayed University of Delaware. They beat them up physically on the front. The biggest problem they have is that their defensive backs, they killed them versus the University of Delaware. They killed them yesterday against the University of Albany, and they can't get a pass rush. Now, if they get a pass rush and they get some pass blocking, people got problems because Caden Bennett is the truth. He got wheels and he can throw. He just needs some time to get those things together. And I'm gonna tell you, Marquise Gillis is a big man. He's what they call him. He's a whole grown man. And I'm telling you, I love the energy that was there. Now Steve is going to fuss because there was a 7-hour rain delay. And after being there till 10 o'clock, I'm in the car like, Steve, I got to go, bro. And then when the rain hit, I'm like, I just saw lightning twice and the rain hit. And I'm in Delaware. I ain't taking and getting blown into the creek, bro. He talked me off the cliff. I sit there till about 8 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock, I had to go. I seen people leaving. There was nobody in the stands. It was nothing happening. And I rolled out and had to call somebody to get some of the clips to finish out the one clip of his 27-yard run. But the weather, they had 3 weather delays, I believe, but it was 7 hours. It was from 4 o'clock to the game was 7 hours. The rain delay started at 4. They got back on the field. And check this out. They had
in the fourth quarter too.
Huh?
It was in the fourth quarter too.
Yes. No, I was about to tell you. So what happened was a 10-minute injury timeout where they had to take a player off the field. And if he wouldn't have got hurt, we would have been and beat the rain delay. But it was 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They came back. Delaware State was down. They came back after 30 minutes. They played 2 minutes of the game. Delaware State on the 44. They shut the game down again. They didn't get back on, and it was 5 o'clock. They didn't get back on the field till almost 8:15. and I was so mad.
Second delay. That's when I'm backing it up. That second delay. I'll wait for that first. That second.
I feel you. See. First off, Kobe, I'm gonna shout out to you because I wasn't gonna mention that you left. You know what I'm saying? Like I was gonna let it slide. We got what we needed. Because I get it. Again, Kobe. He is this brother. I joke about him living in Delaware, but he's a full-time teacher. He's a full-time dad. He coaches football and lacrosse and all the other sports. So he's a busy guy, man. He helps us out a whole lot. And we appreciate him as everybody on the team, man. We really do. And so, he gonna get paid. He gonna be paid regardless. So, look, I admire him for sticking out that long as it did. I'm a little different. Like, dog, I've been out in a hurricane. Like, Vaughn, I don't know if you were there for that North Carolina Central. I think Vaughn might be muted. No, he's not muted. I think it's that North Carolina. Y'all can hear me though, right? I'm good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that North Carolina Central FAMU game in like 2016, I think it was Hurricane Matthew. It was like that last band of it came through. My ass was out there with my little Nikon, shooting it. And then I also the Celebration Bowl. Kobe, you were there with me too. That Celebration Bowl. I think you got gone that time too. But
Howard versus Alabama State
2021, and it started at like 6 o'clock, 6:30, and it did not. And then it just kept getting weather delays early in the game, and then in the fourth quarter again. You're like, I don't know. I'll be like, dog, rep, you don't gotta act like you can act like you don't see that. Like that's far off in the east, man. That's like 5 counties away. Keep going. But I get it. So shout out to you for sticking out as long as you did, man. But I told you, I said, you know what? They losing down by 1 point. They got the ball after everything the Delaware State has had to be through. Ain't no way in hell that they are not finishing this game. If they was finishing it right now, they were going to finish that game. So, man, I appreciate you for sticking it out that long, man. Yeah, man, it was great. Shout out to our folks in the chat, man. I do want to show them some love as we get ready to finish up here. Appreciate everybody for hopping on. We got the one and only MEAC Mike in the building. Salute to everyone. Shout out to Coach Vick and Coach Jackson. Yeah, man. And Steve, Morgan State. I'm sorry.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah,
bruh. That North Carolina Central game, you went past it way too fast. That North Carolina Central game, the rain was coming this way, bruh. It wasn't only raining. The wind had to be like 60 miles an hour. They're out there trying to kick field goals that start out on the right side and end up on the left side of the goal, bro. That was crazy.
That was crazy. That was my war story. I was the only one dumb enough to stand out there in the rain, man. But we pushed through. we pushed through and we got it in. So it was like a monsoon. So yeah, man, that's some wild times. I'm about to hit that big 4-0 now. I guess I got to be a little smarter. Shout out to Chris Lucas, Alabama State. We'll answer some of these hot takes really quick. Alabama State versus South Carolina State or Dell State at the Celebration Bowl.
Ooh, it could be. I'm telling you, bro. It could be. It definitely could be, man.
I don't know about the swag portion of it, but anybody can win the MEAC. The math is too simple in the MEAC. You know what I mean? It just ain't enough teams for that much parity. Like you lose twice, it's a wrap. Like,
if you lose twice, it's a wrap. And if you lose one, you hanging on a prayer from somebody.
Yeah.
If you lose one, you got to wait on that formula that the MEAC has, where it's a 7-way tie.
Yeah, exactly. And then it don't even matter. Then it's just an algorithm or whatever. A math problem.
Yeah, man. It's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. The only other game worth talking about in the MEAC besides the one that we're going to talk about with Josh and Michael Vick would be Morgan State. Kobe, this is my guy. Coach Wilson's my guy, and I respect the hell out of those guys. I'm glad they got up out of this. I'm glad they got up out of here, out of the CIAA, because they had the Bowie machine running. So shout out to Morgan State for making that happen. But it hadn't worked out for the Rams. But yeah, man, we talked about it. I think I just Morgan State. They keep teasing us, man. They keep teasing us. That first game against the FBS team, they'll play you tight, and it's looking like, or in the one year they had a chance to win, but couldn't get it together and beat Towson. Again, you talk about the MEAC. That's another team that's going to be a factor as well. That was a slobber knocker. The rest of the games were slobber knockers in other ways. You had Grambling State getting that $1 million check for Ohio State and their band performance. You had North Carolina A&T. I think they're still scoring on them. They'll be on they're gonna be on puppy probation after this. It was a tough loss. It's a tough loss for those guys. I know Josh is high on them, and I know Wally is Coach Gibbs is a guy, and even I have a.
Josh is high on A&T.
Yes, heavy on the high.
I'm about to ask.
I'm sorry. Y'all know. I take a minimum of 3 shots at the act. And shout out to Simone. She really got the people going yesterday with that clip where she said A&T was the Dallas Cowboys of the HBCU world.
Oh,
that's pretty damn funny. Man, she knows how to
shows the COVID time warp, because 2019 wasn't that long ago. That wasn't VHS tapes era. They're more like the New England Patriots. Can we at least give them that much?
Nah, bro.
I can see the Patriots.
They won semi recently. It wasn't that long ago.
I can see the
It was one era ago that they were winning.
But no.
Dallas, the Cowboys is multiple.
No, but see, you're looking at the team. She's looking at the totality, right? The fans at A&T are unsufferable.
The only part I disagree with is the length of time between the winning. Okay. Everything else she was nailed, spot on. But I just want to give A&T at least that much to where that streak ain't 30 plus years. They was them guys not that long ago.
It's just because whenever they was at the top, it was good. But now that they at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, it's like.
But they did it to themselves.
Like you said, it wasn't that long ago, but people tend to forget whenever you ain't win a game. Like you barely get the Division II team. So it's like
it's like when you step out in a bad outfit. They pick the outfit. This is the outfit they chose to wear, and they wearing it. And they seem to like it. So,
and still, every year the A&T fans tell you this is our year.
Very true.
So that's on the Cowboys. That aligns them with the Cowboys if they say that.
I don't think anybody from A&T said this was their year to win it all of anything.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is, man, the thing about A&T, again, I'm a Ram, and I don't really have a lot of. I found out later that I have a lot of A&T family people, like in my extended family, but I didn't grow up with any type of affiliation with A&T. And I just kind of they think they're better than us. But it is what it is. So I like to give them grief. But I would say the thing about this, A&T got good, and we did not plan on talking about this. But A&T got really good at the best time for them to get good, because that's when the Celebration Bowl came in. Because before that, in HBCUs, when you talk about HBCU national champions, we've had them since 1920. But before that, there was no big machine behind proclaiming them the HBCU national champions. I know the Orange Blossom Classic used to crown them as well, but it was a visible point, because before that, what would happen is the best teams would go to the playoffs and lose, and it would be the best loser is the national champion. So, the NCATs the NCATs were, they came along, and the Tariq Cohen era, they came along, and they got on TV and Tariq Cohen, and so for other people, I don't know if I would say if they're easy to hate, because again, I have that little that little rivalry thing, but I think for the rest of the HBCU world to keep seeing A&T be up there and be this and we're the biggest HBCU, and all of this stuff too, I think that just kind of adds into it. I will also say they gave Hampton the most hell when Hampton left the MEAC. They were just like, oh, man, y'all even going to the weights conference. And then the next thing you know.
No, they're very much like Young Thug right now, and Hampton is gonna. They were talking real crazy about Hampton at first, and now them tapes dropped. But my thing with A&T, this is the first time that I can remember where people have cared that A&T is bad. And I think that's the difference. And shout out, my man who I went to high school with, Herb Miller, was the quarterback for A&T and in one of their lowest points, right? So, like,
I remember that era fondly.
Yeah, but nobody was really, like, up in arms. Like, and that's A&T kind of like, they have these roller coasters, and when they're hot, everybody cares, and then when they're not, they kind of got this benefit to where people are just like blah, 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 blah. We won again, you know what I mean? And now is the first time with all the conference and just everything that's gone on, where like A&T's bad and people care, and they're on. Not that they care, but you know what I mean. They're like on them. Whereas normally, like A&T hits these lows, and that's why for me, like this really isn't any. If you know HBCU sports, this patch they're having really isn't anything too different from how A&T normally gets
27 games in a row.
You know what I mean? Like they've had times where they have lost and they always bounce back, and it's usually always a bounce back with a culture move. You know what I mean? With like a, not to say, I guess I went to Central for 2 years, so let me qualify them statements. But my pop went to A&T, my mom went to Central. Like I don't know, I didn't grow up with the HBCU hate. It was all kind of love. You know what I mean? But like, they get a little too big for their britches. And the thing is like, we start winning. Hey, we could do this. That's the complete antithesis of the thing that got us to win. You know what I mean? And then you start losing, and then people start blaming fingers, and they're like, wait. Let's go get somebody who's going to come and really do what we need to do. And then they go get a culture guy, and that person works, and they bump their head, and they do all of this work to get them back on top. And then, like, somebody comes down from an office, and it's like, this football winning is great, guys. How about we do this? And then it like the cycle starts all over again. So, I mean, that's my take on A&T. But, I'm a Coach Gibbs apologist. I was thinking the other day, what about the alternate universe where he's coaching FAMU right now? would be a wild time, but
I think if we're gonna talk to FAMU, the subject has to change, because Quinn Gray has Albany State rolling. Isaiah knows their quarterback who transferred from Navy comes into Bragg Stadium this week. Mm-hmm. I just gotta say that if Quinn Gray comes in and wins that game, or if it's too close, I don't think Cozy survives that. That's my personal opinion. That's not none of the positions I hold around working with FAMU. But if Quinn Gray comes in Bragg Stadium and that offense is still rolling the way it does, I don't see how it can survive. Pin that one and come back the next week, September 20th in Daytona Beach. Brian Jenkins takes his Edward Waters teams into Municipal Stadium. You can see two former coaches who coached at institutions. Quinn Gray played and was an offensive coordinator at FAMU. Is coming into Bragg Stadium this week. Next week, Brian Jenkins, who won their last national championship and the last time the Wildcats were relevant, is going into Municipal Stadium. I'll say if he wins that game, Reggie Theus might lock Brian Jenkins in the back room and not let him leave.
Is that a no Diddy, or am I allowed to say? I'm sorry.
No baby oil. No baby oil.
Do I need to, Steve? Is this when I log out? This one I need to log out.
No, I'm just saying these next 2 weeks are going to be interesting.
I think for HBCU football, it's like that. I know JCSU plays Virginia Union. You can't hear me?
I'm talking to Steve. Who was muted and talking.
I think it's interesting. JCSU plays Virginia Union. Virginia Union plays Edward Waters. You know what I mean? And like Morgan State, this time I think they do have a serviceable quarterback. They just got to stop making penalties. Like, they got to clean that up. Their offense looked good. They moved the ball. They had more yards than Towson. They kind of outplayed them, except when it was big. The secondary gave up good points. So these next few weeks before we get into MEAC conference play are going to be very interesting to set it up. And CIAA, I'm telling you this. So Bowie just won their game against Shippensburg, I believe. That's a regional conference win for the CIAA. JCSU, I mean, you got JCSU, Virginia State, Virginia Union sitting at the top. That's going to be very, very interesting. And they all play each other. So, I mean, like this, you know what I mean? And the middle of the pack versus the SIAC, the CIAA lost those games. So, like, this game with Edward Waters is cooking. It's definitely cooking. So, you're right. In some other ways, Vaughn.
Yeah, that's a big game, man. That Unity Classic. The organizers.
It's 3-3 right now because Livingstone. Because shout out to Josh's alma mater, Livingstone. They won. They beat Allen University last night. AME versus the AME Zion Classic. That's what I'm calling it. So you know, the battle of the Black Methodists.
Allen
you
got
know,
my man Chauncey Caldwell too. Don't sleep on Allen. Chauncey Caldwell is back. My man from Central. Yeah, don't sleep on Allen. Even though I got an SID story there too.
yeah. So man, it's 3-3 CIAA SIAC. You know, the best teams beat the bad teams. In the middle, my Rams let me down bad. But Tuskegee, I don't know. I mean, they just played Central State, so I'm not going to make too much of a big deal about it, but they did get a blowout win yesterday in their first game under the lights. So maybe Tuskegee is back to being, you know, the Tuskegee of old, because just like WSSU, they're kind of in the same boat that they haven't won a championship in the better part of a decade for both of those schools. So, you know, maybe we'll look back. Maybe I'll look back at the end of the season and I won't feel as bad about that loss. I doubt it. But, you know, we'll see.
Steven, did you check with Ruffin for some extra tickets?
Man, shout out to A.B. Reginald Ruffin for setting this week off right, man. I mean, he laid that gauntlet down like nobody did not look at him for no. Like he needed to get that Julius from that's $350 worth of sideline pass.
I just want to know who it was, because you know somebody was sitting there right after he fired it off and had just asked him for tickets.
Probably said, "Can I get sideline
right now?" Let me stop this right now, man. So, yeah, man. I do want to shout out too before we get to finish up with Josh's game. There were a couple FBS games that were more. So no, Tom Joyner donated. So we had a giving challenge. Winston-Salem State and Tuskegee before the game. Tom Joyner, so WSSU and Tuskegee, 24 hours to give, and WSSU got ahead, and then Tuskegee pulled out $100,000 anonymous donation. You know, man, they got engineers and architects, man. We just a teacher school, but shout out to them. But Jackson State put up a good fight against USM. That's another hot topic that was this week. That mystery post of the rules and everything like that. Another, again, talking about inhospitable place for HBCU, but Jackson State kept that one close. And then also There was South Carolina State did not do bad against South Carolina as well. So those are games to look out for as well. But we're gonna finish off with a clip, and then we'll let Josh take over and give us what happened up in the 757 Norfolk to be exact. Let us go to the tape, and here we go.
Good work, Josh.
Great stuff there, Josh, man. You were back in the 757 a little over a week after you and I were there for game number 1. So a lot going on there. So tell us about it. And I might have a little tidbit that people may not know about what we just saw too. But go ahead, Josh. The floor is yours, man. Talk to us about this game, Big State versus Little State, and how it played out.
So first off, my first time ever going to a VSU NSU rivalry game, hands down one of the best rivalry games I've ever been to. Not even just because of the game, but just the fans, the student sections, the alumni. Like, it's a real deal rivalry. Like, it's a real thing. Like, I went out there, like I stated earlier, I got out there about 2:00, but I actually drove from North Carolina and drove up there that morning. So I woke up around like 8:30, 9:00, drove all the way up there to get there just in time try to get there in time to get a lot of the tailgate stuff and some footage like that. And I did a lot of talking to some fans, some alumni, just different questions, asking them things like, who is the real Big State? Like, who really does run the city of Norfolk? Because Virginia State claims that they're the Big State because Norfolk isn't really a city, or how it goes. I can't remember how it went, but Virginia State, they talked a lot of trash. Like, that rivalry is real. Like, me, I'm a North Carolina guy, so I compared it to the Aggie Eagle Classic. It's just as much. It's just as bad. It's just as much trash talk. The atmosphere is just the same. Like, it was a great atmosphere and energy from the pregame. So I already knew that the game was going to be crazy enough, and it delivered. It literally delivered. Virginia State came out early, marched the ball down the field, only got a field goal, but they marched the ball down the field. Looked very easy too. Man, that boy Rashaan Matthews from Virginia State, redshirt freshman, is going to be a problem in the CIAA. All game long, he was breaking the pocket, breaking contain, making sure that he was rolling out, scramble drill, throwing darts down the field, and NSU had no real answer for it until late in the game, because we seen that they obviously got the victory in overtime. But he was a problem for that NSU defense. I mean, every single time that they thought that they had a sack, he would break the sack and then throw a off-platform throw for 20 yards down the field, or he'll throw a little lob touch pass for a touchdown. It just seemed like it was very easy for them. And I thought it was going to be another blowout because it was 17-6 going into halftime. And VSU had Norfolk State had got the ball at halftime. And I'm sitting there on the sideline with the reporters like, hey, if they don't score coming out of halftime, it can get just like it did last week versus Townsend. And one of the issues that Norfolk State faced, what they did, just like they did against Townsend, was penalties. Story of the game was penalties. Even Mike Vick said in the post-game press conference. They had 16 total penalties in the entire game. That cannot happen. They will not be beating these other teams in the MEAC having that many penalties in a single game. And now I say that they had 16 penalties in the game. You're like, bro, how in the world did they win this game in the first place? That man, Otto, the backup quarterback. Now, Steve was there with me last week at the Townsend game, and if you watched the Townsend game, then you could have seen it yourself. They started off with Israel at their starting quarterback, number 7. Later on in the game, in the Townsend game, they went to Otto. He went through for over 200 yards, had a good, solid game, even though they got blown out by Townsend. Same kind of story this week. They started off with Israel once again. The offense was moving, but it wasn't really moving as much as it needed because they were down 23-10 late in the third quarter. And that's when Mike Vick went up to Otto and said, I know. He said it in the press conference. If you guys want to go check it out, it's on the YouTube channel. Michael Vick said that he went up to Otto and said, I know I'm putting you in a tough situation. And Otto responded back to him and said, Coach, I'm going to do whatever you need me to do. And that's exactly what Otto did. He led the team. I mean, as soon as he got into the game, one of his first 3 throws was a down the field shot. Was it complete? No, it was an incompletion, but it was a threat to show the VSU defense we're not scared to throw the ball down the field, because with Israel, he wasn't really making those throws down the field. It was a lot of dink and dunk underneath, screen, out route, hitch route, a lot of things underneath. So their DBs was playing up because they wasn't threatened down the field. When Otto came in the game, it was a whole different. You would have thought that it was a whole different offensive coordinator calling the game, because they're throwing deep shots down the field. He's throwing post routes. He's making every throw on the field. There wasn't a blade of grass on that field that he probably felt like he couldn't find a throw to make it in. Otto led the team to come back 21 points in the fourth quarter, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to lead them to OT to get the game-winning field goal to that you guys just seen, man. The game was crazy. As you guys seen in the video, Mike Vick was super emotional, and he's not even like an emotional guy that doesn't really get out of his shell. He even talked about it in the press conference. He said, I'm an in my shell type of guy. Like, I don't really do all the extra stuff like that. But I didn't get the clip. I wish I would have. But he had, after the game, they had players had came and gave him the Norfolk State flag, and they put it in his hands, and they made him wave the flag in front of the fan student section. It was just a great moment. You could just see how excited he was to get that win. And then after the game, Steve, I'm pretty sure you know as well, but at Norfolk, they had this little tunnel that they walked to get back towards their locker rooms, and the fans surround them. When I tell you, it was so many fans. I'm trying to get my little shot. I'm getting pushed. It's a whole bunch of security around. I'm trying my hardest to get my little phone and my camera to get the shot right there, but it was so much fan support right there in that little tunnel that it was crazy. Like, no matter if, like, even Steve was there last week, even whenever they lost to Townsend, it was still so much fan support out there. They didn't care if they lost. They told them, keep their heads up. We got it just one game at a time. And just seeing it out there yesterday, it was insane. And not only was it fans, it was some VSU fans out there too, letting them have it, letting them know, hey, even though y'all won, it's still Big State. Even though y'all think y'all Big State, it's still Big State. They had their towels. They had their shirts. They was throwing them all in Vic face. They even had to have one of Vic's personal security guards come and move the people back because they were so close. I didn't know how did they even get that close in the first place. They almost about to start fighting and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this the type of stuff that I like. So next year, book me for that game. I got to go back. That was a good one. That game was a good one. It was a great game overall, totally, all in all. And yeah, it was a great game, but not even, like I said, not to take credit away from Virginia State. They have a great team. They have a great coach team as well. As you guys seen the handshake at the end, even though that they had just lost the game and he was trying to get his thoughts together, the coach of VSU was yelling at one of his players because he missed an assignment 2 plays ago. Like, he's a very good coach, and you could tell that that VSU team is going to be a team to look out for. So we can add them to the CIAA list of contenders to look out for that matchup, because that matchup with them and Virginia Union is going to be one to keep your eyes out on. That one versus them versus John C. Smith, going to be one to keep your eyes out on. And then for Norfolk, I think we kind of got a little story cooking up with this as well. But a lot of fans on the sideline, they got some quarterback conversations going on, man. They think that they got a star in the making that's sitting on the bench. And, you know, who knows how that game could have went if Otto, the man that just led your team to a historic 10-point comeback in the fourth quarter, is going to be your starting quarterback next week, you know? So now fans are asking, hey, who's the starting quarterback coming up next week? And he said in the post-game press conference, you know, I got a quarterback that just came down from 10 points, led us to a victory over our rival. I got a lot of decisions to make. So it's something going to keep our eyes out on for next week.
Man. Yeah, man, that great stuff there, Josh. And I saw that Angela posted, are you gonna show video highlights of the games as you talk? I'm trying to visualize as it's working. This was a work in progress. We kind of did this on a whim today, but we may be able to cook something up for you a little bit later, clipping some of this stuff up. But nah, man, I think you hit on a lot of good points, Josh. Here's the thing too. When I saw that handshake between Dr. Henry Frazier, who's the head coach over at Virginia State, former head coach at Prairie View, he led them to their first SWAC championship in forever. He set up North Carolina Central's run where they won parts of several different MEAC championships, and he's a Bowie State guy, so he got them to the championship game several times. Word on the street. The streets tell SJG that before, the end of the last season, Dawson Odoms, we already know how that was going. Norfolk State is a basketball school. They always have been, and they always have been. Virginia State still leads the all-time record in this, and the reason why they call themselves Big State is because at one point, Norfolk State was a part of Virginia State, and before they were the Spartans, they were the Little Trojans. So, it's that type of history, and that kind of fuels all of that. And it is one of those rivalries that there's a lot of love and there's a lot of common ground, but it's fierce. Everybody's got a lot of pride. I love it. It reminds me a lot of A&T and Winston. That Virginia State's beaten A&T more than has beaten Norfolk State more than we've beaten A&T. So A&T still try like little growers, but it's that type of thing where people, the ties are close and everything like that. Anyway, word on the street is that when they were looking for a potential replacement for Dawson Odoms, that Dr. Henry Frazier was very close to becoming the new head coach at Norfolk State. And then if you know the story, Norfolk State actually had some assistance from had some intervention with Aaron Rouse, who's a senator in Virginia, but he also played with Michael Vick. So, depending on who you ask, they were very close. Henry Frazier was very close to being in that seat. So, and again, like we were saying last week, Josh, I knew, just knowing how this rivalry has been the last couple of weeks, a couple of years, knowing who they have had on the table and seeing how Norfolk State was week one, I was like, look, I'm not going to be shocked if they win. And literally everybody was actually going with it. And it actually looked like it was going to happen until Mr. Otto saved the day. And so it's like,
that's his name, Automatic. That's what they was saying too.
And now, because last year he was the preseason MEAC Offensive Player of the Year, or a preseason offensive quarterback. He never played. Whatever happened there, I think there was some academic issues or whatever. So, so now so then Michael Vick comes in. You're wondering if he's even still going to be on the team. He stays on the team. Israel Carter, I was there during the spring football game, and it was no secret. Michael Vick was pretty enamored with Israel Carter. He's got his number. He's a mobile guy. Kind of looks like Michael Vick a little bit. Everybody's wearing 7 Norfolk State jerseys right now, but there's not Israel Carter. It's Michael Vick. And so I don't know.
He looks like him a little bit.
What you say?
He looks like him a little bit.
Looks like him a little bit,
on the field, like he got the same like arm sleeve, the leg sleeve. I think he was even wearing his cleats yesterday.
He can't pass like him, huh?
See, when Kobe asks a question like that, he's setting up a joke. I've learned this.
He's ready for the.
I've learned this. I knew that was a setup. I could tell.
Man. So it's definitely a situation where, again, I went to the spring game. I went to the MEAC Media Day, and there was a twinkle in Michael Vick's eye when he was talking about Israel Carter. So, he obviously believes in the young man, but, seeing is believing. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks is that the offense just hums better right now with Otto. So, Now Michael, we talked about it last week, Josh, and you can tell me how it was, if it was any different this week. We talked about last week how Michael Vick he talked about jitters. Was it an overwhelming feeling? Because again, this is a guy who has never been a head coach anywhere, a coach anywhere. And so there was a lot going on, you know what I mean? And at times it was like he kind of got lost in the field. So let me know how it was last week. And now he's got a real coach decision, he's got a real coach decision at quarterback, Amanda, leave Virginia State alone. The MEAC needs to stop this, right? Stop robbing the CIAA blind. That's why Norfolk State almost caught the L last night, and Hampton had to play with their nose to beat Hampton last night. So the CIAA for life almost took out the old CIAA. I know y'all in North Carolina Central, y'all like to hop conferences, but Virginia State is true orange and blue. So they're staying in the CIAA, but you can play against them. Or you can come back home.
Before you leave Norfolk, gotta send a shout out to one of the best college DJs there is. DJ Vince Hancock at Norfolk keeps it crunk.
It's the MEAC, baby.
All city entertainment. Vince is that dude.
Sleep. We all
we do. He made that.
He definitely do. He definitely keep it crunk. He definitely keep it turned. He gonna make sure he shout out every single group organization that he see. He might do a shout out mid play. It don't matter. He might shout out mid play. Whatever he gonna get his.
He gonna get it in.
He's gonna turn it into the rucker and just start.
He gonna get that shout out in regard. It can be mid snap. Oh, he opened downfield. Throw it. He gonna get it in regardless. I know the opposing teams hate it because whatever he got to say, he gonna say it. Like it was multiple times where the actual game commentator is like, "Oh, second down for the Spartan. We need to make some noise on defense." He gonna get it in. He gonna get that cameo in for sure.
Yeah, Vince is a big part of the HBCU culture because he keep it crunk up there.
But no, Steve, I'm pretty sure you was gonna talk about the energy from Vick on the sidelines, and I'm glad you brought that up because it was definitely a difference this week. Like I remember being on the sideline yesterday, and then how we guys do as content creators. One play goes and the other team gets the ball. You got to run across all the way through the cheerleaders, through the Gatorade, through the trainers. You got to run through all that stuff. And so actually this time when I'm running through right before the offense took the field, I actually seen Vick for the first time, like in the huddle, like patting his dudes on the back, like, let's go, like, let's go score. And like whenever Otto was in the game and Virginia State had just scored and they had needed to come back with a touchdown to tie the game up because they had came back and tied the game up with like 50 seconds left. And before they even went onto the field, I could just see Vick while I was running down, like just tapping his guys on the back, the offensive huddle, like, yo, let's go, y'all. Like, come on, like, let's finish this game strong. Like, we shouldn't have. He thinks that they shouldn't have been that close of a game anyway. So he's like, come on, y'all. Like, let's go. Like, let's go down here and score. Because even in the press conference after the game, somebody asked him, what was you thinking in your head whenever that ball went through the field goal range? He said, thank you, Jesus. This game is over. So, yeah, he had a lot more energy on the sidelines. He was a lot more animated with his players and his team. Even in the I think it all started off, Steve. Nobody failed today in the introductions through the tunnel. Last week, we had an officer take a stumble coming out for the introductions. We had no stumbles this week. We had nobody fall. They even planned it out. I remember getting the shot right before they walked out. They spread the little curtains. Vick was pointing, hey, look, I'm going to run out this way. Then when I get done, I'm going to cut through this way right here. And the officer was like, you going to cut through there? And it was like, yeah, whenever we going to run out. And whenever I run out, we going to cut this way. So it was no stumbles this week. Nobody failed. Everybody got to their destinations correctly. They ran through the band. It was a great time. So I think that's where it started off from. They started off on the right foot. Instead of falling like they did last week, they got it together this week. And I think that's where it stemmed off from.
Well, he making $500,000 almost. He better not be nervous.
Yo, man, great points. Look,
they done made that back in jerseys already.
Yeah.
Licensing fees already.
Before we leave out of here, the first two games worth of attendance So game number one, they had their attendance was 19,000 for a Thursday night game. They got a 30,000 seat stadium. That's the largest here on the East Coast for HBCU, second largest to only Jackson State. And so a lot of times you only get that many fans, either homecoming or Virginia State, and sometimes not even that. So I didn't look up the stat from last night, but what I heard, it was like I heard around 25,000. So a near sellout. I know, we talked about that before. We'll do it another day, but it's hard as hell to get into this, to get there, and get in. So yeah, I think this win was definitely what they needed. Shout out to Tori Woodbury, special teams coordinator, for his guys knocking that field goal down. So I'm gonna shout out the Rams. And Amanda, I know you do this because you knew I couldn't resist. So let's not do this. First of all, until 2022, the series was tied. So there's that. And then secondly, the last time y'all were in the CIAA before y'all hop back to the MEAC again, we won 5 championships. And y'all won 4, and we won the division like 9 years in a row. Don't play those games. All right. Good luck. All right, guys. We appreciate you guys so much. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and everybody that made a comment. Look, man, hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again. I know it's hard to get these guys on the video, but this was fun. We stayed longer than we anticipated, but I hope everybody had a good time during it, and we'll be sure to make sure that we clip a couple of. Okay, so the attendance at Norfolk State. Shout out to our guy Brian from the Black College Sports Network. So that is a lot of homecomings you didn't see. I know a couple of years ago, Dawson Odoms was complaining because they only had 16,000 or something for homecoming. I mean, they were playing VUL. I mean, but so yeah, in 2 games, I'm pretty sure they made the money back for Vick. Now, I do hear that the coaching staff demands. I'm also hearing that was, that's also in that price tag too. So it's not just his salary. I'm hearing that they're spending a little bit more on that. They are taxing a little bit though too, for sure, from what I'm hearing. So we keep our ear to the streets. We hear a lot of things, but again, man, for everybody on the crew, man, I appreciate it. Everybody, let everybody know where you guys are planning to be next week before we get out of here. Kobe.
I'm trying to figure out, it's either Bowie versus Dell State or Morehouse and Howard in New Jersey at the Giant Stadium.
Man, if you don't leave that Morehouse and Howard alone, dog, man, stop playing. Stop playing. Just stay local. Man, all due respect to Morehouse College. Leave that alone. Now watch, this will be the year that they mess around and beat them. But, man.
Hold on. Morehouse ain't beat nobody. I can still start for Morehouse.
So man, look, we done made this decision right here. Let them know in the chat, man. Tell them to stop playing, man. All right, Josh, what about you, man?
I think I'm gonna go check out my Aggies one more time, man. Like I said last week, if y'all was watching, I got the Aggies getting 3 wins this season. I ain't gonna say too much, but
I'm really tempted to mute your mic.
It's looking good. I ain't gonna say too much, but I'm a betting man for Saturday. I ain't gonna say too much though.
Undercover NCAT in the building.
But with all seriousness, I just really do like Coach Gibbs. I really do like Coach Gibbs. I rock with Coach Gibbs. He got that team playing a little bit different, even though they don't got the pieces or the players yet. I'm gonna say all this right now before anybody else say it. Dave probably said it as well, but y'all give A&T a good year or 2 to get their real recruiting class in. We're gonna be talking about them differently. If Coach
There's no way they're not gonna be nice.
I'm telling you, Coach Gibbs, the way he has that team playing with the pieces that he has now is already. It's already like you just gotta see it for yourself. I ain't gonna say too much, but I mean,
it's kind of wide open now. This ain't the CIAA of old.
Listen, 3. I don't know what 3, but they gonna get 3.
I'm with you, Josh.
I got you right here. I got the 3. Seriously, I got the 3. We got VUL. We got Barber Scotia. And And we got North Carolina A&M. I do like A&T over North Carolina A&M. So
right here.
I got a better one for you. All I'm gonna say is G-Ho. G-Ho.
Who they play for G-Ho?
G-Ho.
South Carolina State.
That's all I'm gonna say. G-Ho. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna say too much.
Carolina State.
G-Ho.
Yeah, right.
Jadakiss gonna be at the tailgate. I'm sure it's gonna be a vibe, you know.
This is why listen, you gotta think. They're gonna have the energy from the fans, the crowd, the alumni gonna come back.
Yeah, they had that against Monmouth that one time.
Listen though, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Last year, even though they lost by 97 points, Hampton probably still scoring to this day. Last year, they went up 14-0 versus Hampton on G-Ho. And I'm just not a big believer in South Carolina State this year. And that's all I'm gonna mute my mic now. I'm gonna mute my mic, but I'm gonna just say it. So whenever everybody want to get on the bandwagon later on, I said it first.
I'm gonna tell you who's not. I'm gonna tell you who's not gonna be on the bandwagon.
Amanda.
I'm gonna tell you now. Hey, look, hold on. I'm gonna say this one too. I'm not saying that they're gonna win this game. Aggie Eagle gonna be interesting.
Yeah, because everybody gonna be trying to figure out how much the score gonna be or what the best line gonna be.
Youngster.
Hot take central. Hot take central. All right, Vaughn. What about you? Where are you going?
Yeah, right, Brian. I want what he's on too, guy. We need to share. First off, before I say where I'm gonna be this weekend, shots out to Travis Hunter, 6 catches, 33 yards. And he cut his dreads. Clean look. That sponsorship stuff is probably gonna jump up. Josh, your mic is muted for the day. You've ruined your opportunity.
Hold on. We can shout out Travis, just not against my Panthers. We're going through it right now. Let's shout him out next week. Let's wait a
minute. The game is over. They lost 26-10. The game is over.
I know. I'm going through it right now. Let's just wait till next week. And we can shout him out next week.
But next week he won't get his first NFL catch.
But it's already bad enough for us Panthers fans right now. You see the face. You see what the face that Wally got right now. We going through it, and you just gonna bring us down even more right now.
I'm HBCU over the Panthers, so
right. That's what that was the HBCU connection
thing, dog. Like,
but
them boys ain't. Them Panthers ain't about to do it.
But I'll be in.
Shout out, Travis.
Yeah, somebody said, Travis, clean look. That'll probably result in more promotional dollars. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure somebody said.
He went from Wiley to Vaughn.
Okay, so anyway,
no, he went from Josh to Kobe. What he really did.
I respect the hang time. My bad. I respect the hang time.
I'll be in Bragg Stadium with eyes on the seat. If FAMU did show some fight, they did show that R.J. Johnson is a capable quarterback. Second half, they were down big. On the second half, they came out with a different fight. The team came out differently, so hopefully they can carry that over into the first home game of the year. Y'all know how Bragg rock. That first home game is going to be crazy. But Quinn Gray, Isaiah Knowles, quarterback that transferred from Navy, he is sharp. He can really spin it. So it'll be interesting. I pick FAMU to win the game. But my heart's also going to be in Jacksonville. We have a stringer that's going to be covering the Virginia Union Edward Waters game. I just know that electricity is going to be amazing. And yes, Tolly, I will write about the fight between the bands. Tolly already, Tolly's the content king, and he wants it now. And he watching the show and like, what happened with the bands? I'm like, dude, can I get to it after the broadcast?
Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out to Tolly.
If you ain't gonna write it, don't mention it. That's the new game motto.
Yeah. Shout out to Tolly. He was we've got him out at 2 games shooting. 2 games shooting this year, which is already a win for us.
We needed him on here when we talk about getting there early because Tolly is the complete opposite. That man will show up at halftime, Polynesian sauce on his cookie, dusting it off, and shoot a package, make it seem like he was there for 8 hours. So that's who we really need to talk about.
That's that TV. That's that TV thing. You know, they got to go to like 5 different games. So you know,
Right.
When you work for the news, you get a parking pass. He used to having his parking pass institutionally. Through the news, yeah. Or at least back in the old days. That's been a minute ago. He been outside for a while now.
Yeah, man. What about you, Wally? What's going on with you, man?
I'm supposed to be editing these episodes that I've got. Gang of really, really good stuff. But daggone Elizabeth City almost beat Hampton. And now I feel like it's not gonna be what I thought it was. So I don't know. I'm pondering. I'm either going to be dropping off an episode. I wanted to start around the middle of the month. So you either going to get an episode or you're going to get some more clips because I'm going to be driving 5 hours to Elizabeth City to stick with the Brick by Brick boys. So you know what I'm on. What's up, Josh?
Now, real quick.
Here we go.
Now, real quick though. Elizabeth City almost beat Hampton. They was up 20-10.
I haven't seen what actually happened, but the stat sheet says that I need to drive to East City.
They say now people who were not on either side say at the end of the game that there was some home cooking for Hampton.
See?
So I don't know.
Y'all want to call me crazy about my prediction for this coming? Now, I didn't say who was going to win. I just said keep your eyes out.
Nah, but Adrian Jones, good coach.
That's called hedging your bets, and that doesn't really work with making picks.
You know, all I'm gonna say is Elizabeth City State almost beat Hampton. North Carolina A&T.
I'm really glad because Smith does have some injuries, and they got some stuff to figure out. And had they just got washed, they might have gone in a little more cocky than they might have needed to. But I can tell you, especially Coach Tripp, like, you know, Smith has it's not a father figure vibe. It's like an uncle figure vibe. Like, let somebody be on the field talking about we're going to run through Elizabeth City around Coach Tripp or Coach Flo. Like, they're not having none of that, especially with what they just did and the people they've lost and the expectations that Smith now has. Like, nah, they're going to come into Elizabeth City, right? So I'm glad they did. And, you know, shout out to Coach Jones. I like Coach Jones a lot. And, you know, I thought he was building very well at Shaw. You know, the other side of the brick by brick is sometimes you put them bricks together and you don't win. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes the game is the game. And I thought that's kind of where Coach Jones was at Shaw. And he took a lot of guys. Like, I remember, you know, when we look at the transfer portal, I remember that middle of the summer, I was like, okay, so he got everybody he wanted from Shaw. So, I mean, they could have a little squad. So you never know. But, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm gonna either be out there or cutting up some heat.
That's what's up. Well, I'm staying super local this week. Winston is home versus Lincoln, the home opener. Nothing like a game night at Bowman Gray Stadium. They got the new light show, so I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So, yeah, man, it's great time as we're getting closer to conference play and things like that. So appreciate everybody for tuning in for us, guys. This went almost 2 hours. We did not plan for it to go this long, but I'm glad everybody was able to stay engaged and have fun with it. And I'm sure there'll be some moments that will clip up from this as well. And in the comments, let us know if you'd like to see more of this stuff. Please make sure that you go download our podcast, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple. Kobe spends a lot of time doing that, making sure that stuff. I'm sure you'll get this on that as well. Make sure you download the app. Again, all the news. Whenever somebody tells people to buy their damn tickets, straight to your phone. Like, literally, if you got that type of alert on, you saw HBCU AD buy your damn tickets on your phone. So, and of course, all the scores are on there as well. So appreciate all you guys. I see people getting the love. Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate it, Miss Mary, Angela, and Amanda. Appreciate you guys. And we will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.